Most of us in this room have taken a prescription drug. Sometimes that's for an acute condition. Other times, maybe you take something daily for something that's chronic. Have you ever stopped to think, how did that drug get from the laboratory to your medicine cabinet? And how much did it cost? Well, last year, 66 million passengers flew through Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. And if we collected $1 from every one of those passengers, it would take us 41 years to collect enough money to pay for the average cost to discover and develop one new drug. That's $2.7 billion to discover, then develop a new drug innovation. An innovation is a solution to an unmet need. In this case, we're talking about an unmet medical need. So let me give you an example. Since I started talking to you, one new person in the United States has developed Alzheimer's disease. In Texas, there's currently 380,000 people with Alzheimer's. And over the next 7 years, that number is going to approach 500,000 people. That's a 30% increase by 2025. For people alive today that will develop Alzheimer's in their lifetime, the total cost of care will be $47 trillion. That is an unmet medical need, desperate for innovation. Where do innovations come from? A lot of them come from laboratories. Some of those are private companies. Some of those are federal labs. Others come from university laboratories, like the ones on the campus that you're at tonight. Let's talk about R&D. We've heard that. What is it? Research is where discoveries are made. And there's a lot of funding that's available for early stage research. But after those discoveries are made, that funding becomes a lot harder to get. It's a lot more limited. On the development side, as we try to push things to the marketplace, there's a lot of funding for innovations that are close to the marketplace, but really limited funding for those that are farther away. So in between the R and the D is a place where innovation gets stuck. And we call it the valley of death because innovation dies there. It dies there because there's limited funding to push technology from the lab side to the marketplace side, or from R over to D. So what does it take? It's a daunting task to bridge that valley of death. It takes initiative, takes investment, takes risk-taking. Sounds like entrepreneurship, right? Well, entrepreneurship is one way to bridge that valley of death. Let me tell you about a resource that's available to entrepreneurs called the SBIR program. It's a federal program that provides grants to entrepreneurs to help them bridge the valley of death. The program provides funding, and it's grant funding, in 2 phases. And typically on the life science side of things, there's $1 million or even more available to those entrepreneurs to help them to begin to build bridges across the valley of death. Entrepreneurs then can use that program, the SBIR program, to get started at building those bridges. Let's talk about innovation in North Texas. If we look at the NIH, National Institutes of Health, funding of research in Texas for the past 5 years, about 20% of it has come to the DFW area. That feels about right. How about this? Since the beginning of the century, there's been more patents originating from the Dallas-Fort Worth region than any other place in Texas. Pretty remarkable, huh? Let's go back to the NIH funding. Now let's look at NIH funding for the SBIR program that came to Texas over the last 5 years. The percentage that came to the DFW area is only 9%. In fact, it's less than that, I rounded up. What that means at best is entrepreneurship in the SBIR program is being underutilized in North Texas to bridge the valley of death. At worst, it means that more innovations are dying in North Texas than should. Meanwhile, 3 more people have developed Alzheimer's disease since I last reminded you 3 minutes ago. Innovation is popping out all over North Texas. Who is going to be the next entrepreneur that steps out and says, I'm going to build a bridge across the valley of death?